Right then everybody, as part of the changes that's going on, I'm going to try and record more footage of me working in the editor. I'm hoping to make this a live stream with a high enough quality so you could see me making mods in real time, so it'll actually help you understand how the system works. For now though, we're still at the experimenting stage, and I tried Discord, which works quite well for live streaming, or at least the recording I did was quite good. I don't know what it'd be like at your side, but that's an experiment to be done in the future. I'm currently using Twitch. YouTube wasn't really an option because it doesn't record the desktop as far as I can see, so it's Twitch or nothing at the moment. So this is what we're looking at now. Now this is the creation kit, Skyrim SE's creation kit, and I've got the Skyrim Fighters Guild mod loaded in. It's a mod that's got a bit of a bug in it. Now I'm just going to explain some basics, right, issues and stuff like that, go back to Oblivion days. Some of these run to the very core of why I don't agree with mod cleaning, and you'll find out why in a second. It's not because it's a bad idea, it's because of the way Bethesda's workarounds work. Now these errors you see here come up every time you load a mod. They can effectively be ignored, right, because that's a default game errors usually. However, if you get any errors popping up there in your own mods, it's usually a good idea to try and fix them. Right, we're going to go to data. I'm going to explain about data edits first versus the official system. Since this is a test video, it's a good time to explain this stuff. Now, if I go to there and I just separate them so we can see the form ID, and I get the types organised so we can get down to NPCs, right, not nav meshes. Here we go, NPCs. Now, these NPCs are actually original form. You imagine like an NPC or any object is like a coin or a stamp with your seal on it. And every time you stamp it down, you create a reference, a picture of your steel or your seal. That's a bit like what happens in the editor. So these NPCs are the stamp, and the references that you see in the gaming world, that's what happens when you stamp it down in the world. Now, if we actually, I mean, some of these would have been moved or whatever else, so they're marked as edited, like this one here. I mean, Farkas wouldn't have been edited by me, but he might have been moved to one side to make room for something, so there you go. So sometimes it pays, but sometimes, you know, when you're looking at people and you want to get a template for something, you'll right click and you'll select copy, and sometimes when you do that, it marks it as edited, and if you try and removing the edit, sometimes it creates a problem. But that file there wouldn't necessarily have been edited, and if it's overridden by other mods, it shouldn't affect anything. It shouldn't be there though. That is what I would call a dirty edit. Clean it out kind of ramifications. But normally you'd do that and you'd press delete, and it'd put a little eye next to it and it'd ignore that edit. And you'd do it from this screen. I don't know if it'll work. You've chosen to toggle the ignore flag, says on one of the, there you go. So if I do that now, right, a little eye would appear there, and that edit would be removed from my mod. It'd still be there, you'd see a little eye next to it, but it'd effectively be ignored by the game. The game would not load it. That's the official system for fixing a bad edit like that. So yeah, that's how I use it. That's the system Bethesda made. Now, there's a reason why they ignore it and don't just delete it, and this is what most toolmakers fail to understand. Now, if you see these two here, like the Rift and Fighters Guild member 1 and the Fighters Guild member 5, two different NPCs. Now, if I went and say deleted the Fighters Guild 5 member, then using the official system, it'd just be ignored. The form ID would still be there, right? It just wouldn't be loaded. Nothing else would happen. If I was to remove it using a tool, so it could completely move, what happened was the form directly above it, not the form but the actual editor ID directly above it, drops down into the deleted item's place, assuming it's form ID. The best way to describe that is to describe the top one as a crate and the bottom one as a cow. Now you imagine I placed 5 cows in a field, right, and then I deleted the cows using an editor tool. Well, not a tool, a tool for cleaning mods. What would happen was the crate would drop down into the cow's place. Instead of having a herd of cows grazing a field, you'd have a herd of boxes and crates grazing in a field. That's the bug. That's why you don't do this. You don't clean, especially complicated quest mods like this, you don't clean them out with tools. It's why I argued with these people, cat and dogs. I saw this, I could prove it, I could have videoed it, but quite frankly, I was sick of arguing with them, so I decided not to bother. If they're not listening, then just give up. But that was why. It wasn't that these things didn't need removing, because some of them do, let's face it, right? I mean, this Farkas editor there, I'm not sure why that's there, it shouldn't be there. So that's one of the things I'll have a go at removing when I'm testing it. I'm not doing it now because I need to remember what changes I've made so I can test it. But that one there was probably a result of me right-clicking copy and then editing him to make other Fighters Guild members. But anyway, that's what happens. In the Kvatch days, I listened to some toolmakers and I cleaned Kvatch, and I actually had lamps turn into crates in the middle of Kvatch. That's how I knew that happened. Later testing revealed in the Oblivion days that that the ignore flag was actually there to prevent that from happening. It stops, it stops the entry above it dropping into the place of the item you deleted, because the item you deleted wasn't actually deleted, it was just ignored. So it's a workaround, and the cleaning the mods with tools basically removed the workaround, allowing the mod corruption to happen, which is permanently damaging the mod. It's very nasty. I mean, the tool makers aren't mod makers, so they wouldn't have known this, right? And they didn't bother asking before kicking off. But as a mod maker, I did know this, and I spotted this and a dozen other issues that were equally as bad. Now, in order to fix this, and I would have worked with them if they weren't behaving so badly, right? It says, but how you fix this back in the day? Remember, this is Oblivion days I discovered this in. I've even checked to see if this is in Skyrim, because I just avoided doing these things, because quite frankly, the damage is quite horrendous. But basically, if you imagine you've got like a Fighters Guild 1 member, and he's a bit corrupt, and you need to replace him, what you do is, and ironically, you right click and copy him. At that point, you've got two. You've got a copy of and you've got the original. The copy of shouldn't be corrupt. And if he is, you could just make one from scratch. You could completely rebuild him from scratch. You then find every instance in your mod that uses that NPC or that object, and you unlink it. You basically tell it not to use that NPC anymore, and you link it to the copy or the new version you've made until eventually there's nothing in your mod using the corrupt item. You then select it from this details page menu, you hit delete, and then you click yes there. Right? At that point, you save it off, reload the editor, and the corruption's gone. Right? It's still there, but it's marked out of service. It's not seen or loaded by the game. It plays no further part in the mod, and you don't break anything. Now, if you just deleted it, it would be like dropping a hand grenade into your mod. The damage would just expand outwards, creating multiple corrupt files, and it is absolutely terrible to fix. I think it was 2 or 3 years fixing Kvatch after I cleaned it using the mod maker system, or the tool maker system. It took a lot of time to address the damage caused by that method of working. That's why I've never done it since. But that's how you fix it. That's the bug, the workaround for a Bethesda's issue, and the fix when you get it wrong or you need to fix something. Ignored files should never be removed, especially from large complicated mods, because of the damage it causes when the corruption hits. So anyway, now right, the secret I've kept, well, I haven't kept it a secret as such, but the details have never been explained properly to anybody, but those were the details. I mean, I have reported lots of bugs, made videos about issues that people don't seem to realise are in the game. I've had Bethesda actually suspend me for harping on about things and not shutting up because it really didn't want to fix them. Like the nav mesh thing. In the end, long after I was banned off their forum, I made a video showing it. And ironically, the people I used to argue with, they shared the video, and the word got out. So you could say my nemesis shared my videos, and Bethesda were forced to act. So in a way, me and the trolls did something good together, which was interesting because we don't usually do that. Anyway, yeah, the bugs got fixed anyway. It's one of the reasons why the editor's much better today, because we were able to work together and we were able to cooperate. Now, I would have explained all of this to the toolmakers at the time, but they were too busy ranting and raving in my forum about my mod being dirty and everybody should use theirs, and it doesn't encourage people to cooperate when you behave that way. So, yeah, I didn't. But anyway, moving on, if we go to this mod, there is a bug. Now, this is another bug which I'm still figuring out, right? It's to do with trigger boxes. Now, I made a Civil War fix for Skyrim a long time ago, and it works at first, and then one day Bethesda patched the game and suddenly it stopped working. And no matter how many times I made a new trigger box, it wouldn't work. And it's the trigger boxes at fault, I think. Now, if we go to interiors here, and we go to Tamriel, we just move down to Calf Wasting, which is where the buggy quest is, right? And I've known this for a while. I mean, it's been annoying me because this is one of my best pieces of work from a technical point of view. You might not agree with it. We agree with that from a player's point of view, but from a technical point of view, this is one of my best mods. Now, these are errors loaded in the location. It's just the way it is with Bethesda. There's always something going on. Right, now we're going to leave that to load up. It sometimes crashes when you're loading things like this. You know, you get a little circle spinning. Sometimes you wait, it loads. Sometimes you wait and it never comes back up. Go away. These errors appearing every time an error appears when it's loading. Right, here's Calf Wasting. Right, now I'll just open it up a bit so you can see it. You may get a few dropped frames because this is an old computer now. Now, that box there is a trigger box, that's a trigger box, and that's a trigger box. This here is mine. Now, there is a setting somewhere where you can view trigger boxes, which I think is currently turned off. Light markers, wireframe, bright lights. It's been a long time, remember it's been 5 years, but there are much bigger trigger boxes surrounding Calf Wasting, or they used to be. And I have a feeling that the bigger trigger boxes are okay with Bethesda's own boxes inside, them ones, but any trigger boxes added by a mod have a chance of not working when they're inside these bigger trigger boxes. So I'm thinking of moving that box down here somewhere, that's not down the other way, down one of the paths anyway. I think it's, let me just turn this around. Right. And that's where the attack comes from. No. Somewhere anyway. I think I'm moving that trigger box down here, right? Somewhere outside of Calf Wasting so it's not affected by that particular issue. And I think that might fix it. But generally speaking though, these things here all have scripts, and the way this works is that there, or is it that one? It's 5, yeah, it's that one. You enter that and it triggers an assault. The assault comes from down here, all the way down there. I think it's that one right there or something near it. Once we get a bit further in, we'll start seeing the things loaded. Oh, there it is. I recognise, I use these quite a lot for this sort of thing. Now you see the TEG FG05 Calf Wasting Ref 2. That's one of mine. The TEG FG05 gives it away. Right, that basically is a target of a script. So when I say target of a script, I mean the script spawns bad guys there. It doesn't just enable them, right? You know, they don't just, you know, enabled around here. This is one of the better things about it, the technical aspects of it. It actually places them there, so I could turn this into a repeatable quest if I wanted to, but I didn't want to. So that's really annoying, that, isn't it? So anyway, let's go to the actual quest, shall we now? Right now, actually, we're not going to the quest. We'll go to the NPCs first. So characters, I can't remember where they are. It's been a long time since I've done this. Not character. Where's the actors? That's where we want actors. Now, they're not bandits spawning. Now it's an FG. There we go. That one. We click on that one there. Don't you love the way it goes blank when you click on it? Look at that. We've got the busy signal. Does that mean it's going to crash out? No, it hasn't. Right, here we go. Right, and here's the spawn scripts. If we right click on that and we go to source, you see here it basically, when the character dies that has this script attached to it, it triggers mission 5 script and implements the def count function, or executes the def count function. So the NPCs, just to give you an overview, NPCs are placed there. Says by the quest scripts. This is the one here, this particular one. They all have their own script which access this particular quest. The on-def function is this right here, or the dead count function. It's there. So when they die, what it basically does, all of that just says one thing, right? Add says it says dead for sworn equals dead for sworn plus 1. That's a way of counting up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it gets to 8, that's what equals is for. It means it has to be exactly 8. It updates your objectives, gives the Fighters Guild people new packages, somewhere to go home and rest, and then it advances to the next function, which is this one down the bottom. You go and get your gold and everything else. But the bit that actually places the Forsworn is this. Start attack. Take FG, calculation 02. Place at me, that's the command I use. Take FG Forsworn. Back in the old days, in the Oblivion days, I would not use place at me if I could help it, because it was a bit buggy. But yeah, it had some issues, put it that way. It could lead to various corruption. But it works alright in Skyrim. Anyway. What's I'm going to do now? Oh yeah, that, right. We've done the spawner, we've done the thing we updated scripts and everything else. So now we're going to look at the trigger box. Okay, the box that actually triggers the attack, which is all the way up here to there. So you run up here, right, to Calf Wasting, you get to this box here. Right, these are the scripts, right? That's the default trigger scripts by Bethesda. It's not edited, it's just used. Now we go down to there, we go there, we look, when you enter the box, it says on trigger enter, that's when you walk into it. Remember, it's invisible in game. It says if get player equals activator and take FG mission get current stage is 10. That's important, that, because what that's actually saying is if the player has entered the box and the FG mission is set to stage 10, then we do what follows. And first of all, we set me once. That's just a counter, so it just only ever runs once. And then it does an FG mission, it accesses FG mission 5 and runs the start attack scripts. Now if you remember, I've already explained what that is, right? It says on the trigger box, not trigger box, on the quest. So entering that box right there triggers this this script here. It runs the start attack function here. And that updates all the things, it places all the bad guys. The bad guys have already got orders to move towards you. Then we count the deaths. That's every time someone dies, that gets counted. Which brings us to another bug. In my demon spawn, it's this kind of function that's at fault. Might be an error on my part, but it used to work perfectly fine. Now it's not working. It broke about the same time as this particular mod did. but for some reason it's not adding up the dead properly. It's almost like the Skyrim Special Edition version isn't very accurate at adding this dead force 1 equals dead force 1 plus 1 style mathematic thing. That should be a straightforward, easy thing to do, but it just seems to struggle with it. So either there's an error on what I've done, right, but it did work, or there's a bug, and I've got to find that one out as well. But that one there is a lot more complicated than this particular mission is, because the Demon Hunter mod is basically Vigilance of Stengar mod. So you can see that it's all randomly generated. I mean, the way this is written, all of this could be turned into a randomly generated mission. So I could do this, so you could do these over and over and over and over again, right? But this is designed to be played through once, where the Vigil of Stengar is a repeatable quest mission following similar lines. But anyhow, this here, these quest boxes here, these are the things with the issues. That is so annoying, that. Is there a way of getting rid of that? It's been a long time since I've done this, but I'm pretty sure there is a way of hiding these windows. I don't remember it popping up that annoyingly all the time. Clear that away. Right, anyway, it says there's also a way of revealing the trigger boxes that are actually invisible to me right now. But I can't find it. But there should be, is it collision geometry? I'm not seeing it, but there are bigger boxes around that, or there used to be in the older game. Anyway, there you go, a bit of explanation for you. And look at that, BS tree node or BS leaf says please re-export this file properly. That's a Bethesda thing, by the way. It's like the warnings need to be reduced a little bit to something a little bit less horrendous. Probably setting some warnings. There we go. What? No, just anyway, that's it, right? You see it now, do you? If this is a good quality video and you can understand it and everything else, then it's a good start. It means you'll be able to do maybe live streams when I finally get a decent computer upgraded and other things. Maybe it might work now, but we'll have to see. But when I tried it earlier, I had so many packages open that it was causing problems. Right now, recording it from Twitch like I am seems to be working quite well. So this looks like it might actually be a thing. It might work rather well. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And remember to post your thoughts below, tell me what you think of the video, if it's good enough quality and everything else, and give me some feedback, okay? And I'll see you in the next one.